I'm Jenny Fern, and welcome to my library. Happy fall! We're pretty deep in there, huh? It's mid-November, so I thought I would do a check-in, near end of year reading check-in. So I have a few questions to go through. I was gonna do Ariel Bisset's, not fully end of year, but like coming to the end of the year tag. But my answers are so bad. I can do it rapid fire if you want. Are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? I mean, I don't really need to finish anything. I'm an adult. I can do whatever I want in terms of reading pace and everything. But I did start and get pretty, like maybe 60-something% of the way through The Virgin Suicides. And then my digital library rental expired. I took too damn long, and so I have the book coming in the mail because I am enjoying it so much, and I'm excited for that, reading the rest of the book as like a physical book. So that's the main one that I would love to finish before the end of the year. The Virgin Suicides is it has such beautiful visuals, and it's just that cloying, like sickly sweet kind of, like musky or musty femininity. It's really good. Also, I'm wearing this kind of silly hat. I made this hat. I don't know if I like it. It's kind of a bit much, so do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? I'm like, bro, we're deep into it now. I read my autumnal books in like September, so the answer is no. Is there a new release you're still waiting for? The answer is no. I don't pay that much attention to new releases. And like what I consider a new release is usually like 2 years old by the time I get to it, or I have no idea it's a new release and I just hear about it and then I read it. So no, unfortunately. What are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? I don't know. Would like to do another reread, and I think I would like to reread Ubik and maybe a reread of The Phantom Tollbooth. Also currently reading Vert by Jeff Noon. Oh, and Spy X Family. Oof, so good. I love that. I would love to continue reading that series. And I guess also Flying Witch. I have that checked out from the library right now, and I have no holds. So those are basically the books. Is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? So far, I'm pretty sure my favorite book is The Ways of a Mud Dauber. So I don't know what could possibly fill that void or like take the place of that book, And have you already started making reading plans for the next year? I think the main thing that I have for next year, I had a wonderful reading experience with The Name of the Wind in January. And considering I'm going to be taking some time off during Christmas time, I think I'd love to start reading whatever the next one is. It's on my nightstand. It's been on my nightstand for a couple months now. I borrowed it from my sister, but I haven't really been in the mood to just like lay in bed and read a fantasy that will take over my life, So anyway, that's my main reading plan for the beginning of next year. Okie dokie, now let's go to my questions. So the first one is current favorite book. What have you read recently that you've really loved? I've been in a good place recently with books. Like Spy X Family is so good. The Virgin Suicides, even though I'm taking my time with it, is also very, very good. I did recently read Station 11, but it didn't really hit for me, Reading pace check. How are you doing with your reading goals for the year so far? That is a great question. I'm fucking killing it. I've smashed my reading goal to the ground. My reading goal for this year was 70 books, which is higher than any of my former reading goals, because I was like really just in a mood to read at the beginning of this year, and I really wanted to focus on it after I had a slight dud of a year for me with basically starting in 2020 I read 30 books, 2021 I read 49, which is more obviously, and then 2022 I read 31 books, which I just wasn't super happy with. I had this gusto for reading significantly more of the books that I had, and I really wanted to get back into it. I have read 166 books of 70. That does include children's books and manga and graphic novels and stuff like that. It's not all, you know, long ass adult novels, you know. Take it with a grain of salt if you want. Okay, autumnal reads. Share a book that gives you cozy autumn vibes. The first book that I think of when I hear this, for some reason, is The Buried Giant by Kazuo Ishiguro. And I'm also kind of thinking, so one of the things that I really wanted in my life was a book that felt so much like Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild at the time. Now Tears of the Kingdom I could be down for. I've just been playing it this whole year, basically off and on. The Name of the Wind was one of the highest recommendations for a book that feels like Breath of the Wild. And it does a little bit, but not really. Anyway, I feel like The Buried Giant has a little bit of that, like, Zelda-y vibe. And I'd like to reread it just to kind of feel out if that's true or not. But that's the book that I'm feeling has those autumnal vibes. It is behind me. It's like directly behind me, so I don't really want to tweak my back trying to get it. Mid-November TBR. What books are on your to-be-read list for the remainder of November? So I have a bit of a project going on right now. I get into these moods and I have these like little obsessions right now. My phone storage was completely full, and a ton of my phone storage is screenshots of YouTube videos, of like video descriptions, of it used to be like BuzzFeed books, now I think it's Huffington Post books, articles of all of these books that I thought sounded really cool. Also Instagram, screenshots of Instagram of books that I thought I would want to read. Instead of having like a good tracking system, I just had all of these screenshots. And every once in a while, I'd go through my screenshots and I'd just pick out the book. So I did that for several books this year. I did that with, Knots and Crosses, and All Rights Reserved. So like you can tell some of these screenshots are quite old because those books are kind of like out of fashion at this point. Then there was Lemon. Oh, so anyway, I'll probably go through that list of books to determine what I'll be reading next for new reads, and also scanning my bookshelves to figure out what I want to read next. I really don't do well with like planning out what I want to read. The most that I would do that is I want to read something right now and then it's not available in my library, so I put it on hold and then I read it in like a couple weeks. Like that's the most of my planning ahead for reading, you know? Favorite fall reading spot? That's gonna be my bed. My bed is one of my favorite reading spots anyway, but I love sleeping in on a rainy morning, not really sleeping, but reading a book in bed. It's so cozy and I really like it. Seasonal changes and book choices. Do the changing seasons influence the type of books you choose to read? Yes, they do, but not super heavily. During October, I do like to read a spookier book. And maybe during springtime, I might want to read like a more nature-centric book. It probably is more of an influence of what other people are recommending at the time as to what I pick up at the time than the actual weather on my book choices. But I do feel like I might want to read like longer books in winter and shorter books in summer, like that kind of thing. Bookish gratitude. What is something book-related that you're grateful for this year? I am glad that I gave myself like the permission to buy books this year. I've pretty much stayed away from buying books that I've already read for like all past years, and so I didn't have these beautiful books that I'd read from the library and cherished. I'd pick them up if I saw them in like a thrift store or something, but I'm really grateful for being able to hold these books that were so important to me in my home and be able to see them every day and have the opportunity to loan them to people if I want to. And that I really like that. It is a slight problem though, because I do need to get more bookshelves at this point. Character thankfulness. Name a fictional character that you're thankful for and why. I love Anya. This is a very Spy X Family centered. I'm just so obsessed with it right now. I love Anya. She is the most precious little angel in the entire world. I love her so much. Reading rituals. Are there any specific rituals or habits you've developed around your reading time? No, not really. I read throughout the day. In the morning, I'll read an audiobook while I'm feeding all my animals and getting my coffee and my breakfast and stuff. So in the morning, I'll read an audiobook for about an hour. During work, I don't read at all because I'm working. I might listen to an audiobook if I go for like a half-hour walk during my lunch break. After I get home, I read before I go to bed. I'll read a book when I'm doing the dishes, like an audiobook. And if I'm doing garden work, I'll read an audiobook. Yeah, mostly it's in the morning and before I go to bed. And then on the weekends, whenever I want. Okay, and my last question for today is a bookish weather match. Pair a book with the current weather in your area. It is rainy today. It's not like a downpour right now, it's a little bit drizzly. So, a drizzly book. Oh, you know what would be a good one? There is a short story in... This is my Bradbury and it's missing. I don't know where I put that book. Here it is, here it is, here it is. We're good. We're in the clear. A story in The Illustrated Man is... It's very rainy. I think they're on Venus and it just rains all the time. The Illustrated Man story where it rains a lot. The Long Rain. Is it really? I didn't see that. That is so funny. Yeah, that's the one that I recommend to match the weather today. It gives like a little bit of a more of a like a humid tropical vibe, I feel like, compared to this, which is a cool rain. It's classic November rain. That's what I got for you guys. That's, I guess my recommendation for today would be The Illustrated Man. Thank y'all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you enjoy this time of year, the end of the year, and that you, I mean, to be honest, reading goals are pretty arbitrary and I don't think you should like, you know, rush to meet your reading goal or kill yourself to make your reading goal, you know. If you want to make your reading goal and you haven't yet, I wish you the best of luck. I more than that hope you read some really good books in the next month and a half, and I hope you have a great time with it. Thank you so much. Goodbye.